Well, it's time to do a little deconstruction, I guess. I got to take my temporary porch that I made about 15 years ago down. When we built this house, all of this area around here was dug out down to hardpan, and this side that the porch is on was pretty much open all the way out. I had scaffolding built up here all the way around the house, all four sides. It was wooden scaffolding made with stuff that we cut with a chainsaw mill. That a lot of it was planks and stuff that was left over from cutting the lumber that went into the house. And that was up for a long time, and this was all open all the way back here where we're standing now. The scaffolding came to the end of the house right there where that one channel beam goes across, and then we just had a plank going up from here up to there to get into the house. Eventually it took that down, and I put the cribbing up on the side there. Well, the cribbing itself is out of slabs off the sawmill. But I put up I put up three nice 4x6s there to hold the cribbing up. And then I built that little porch onto two of those 4x6s. And I built a set of stairs, and that's part of it's in there now, but that went down quite a ways farther than what it is now. And then we've started bringing in gravel and dirt and backfilling this. It's backfilled with drain rock all the way around the house, out about 3 feet from the basement walls, and then dirt out farther from that. So when I backfilled that rock went in there, and I just cut those stairs off to 3 steps. So anyway, it's time to take that off there now. We'll go to our more permanent porch. So I've got to take that off so that I can put the blocking in on the rim joist to hold that first piece out away from the wall. And then we can start laying out our floor joists. What, the crowbar? Okay. Okay, disassembly is done. I gotta get a string line and run across those channel iron beams so I got a good reference of where the tops of those are, and then I can put my blocking in. The weather was pretty cold here for over a week. Got down to 16 degrees or so. The ground froze pretty hard. Then it snowed. Well, that warmed up, and it rained pretty good for several days. It got up into the high 30s, but it rained pretty heavy for a few days, and it knocked the snow level way down here. But what happens is when it warms up, that snow, because the driveway is frozen hard, when it starts melting, it freezes to the ground underneath as solid ice. So we've got, anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches of solid ice all over our driveway. It didn't stay warm quite long enough to get it completely melted off. There's pretty good sections of it, such as right here on this walkway, that's still solid ice. We don't have a level surface out here any place. Everything is either up or down or sideways. So we walk around in what we call cork boots, logging boots. This is a pair that I got a few years ago that's made on a set of Merrill shoes. And my wife's got a set of cork boots on. Well, that's what we walk around here to keep from falling on our faces or our other side. Well, anyway, getting around in there underneath that house, there's no ice underneath there. That's all drain rock, loose rock. And then there's metal that I've got to stand on down there on the boom of that little excavator to get up on that third beam down there. So these things, you might as well be on roller skates in there when you get on that rock and stuff. So I've taken them off and changed over to my regular shoes. I'm going to go back in there now and put a string along the top of those channel beams from that rear one up to the forward one to give me a sight line to work on. And then I'm going to screw those spacers on that I made yesterday. I got those spacers put on there. Put the first one here close to the front. Put one 4 feet and then 2 back where that centerpiece goes. Another one, split the difference between that one and the third one. And then I put 2 by that third one there, because there'll be another floor joist that goes from there back to the other side when I get that far to put the rest of that porch on there. This whole side of the house will have a porch across it. At least that's the plan if I live that long. So I just put those spacers on there, those blocks on there with 8x3 all-purpose screws, because they'll have ledger lock screws through those floor joists and through those into the rim joist. I don't really need ledger lock screws on that for that floor joist because the weight is supported by those channel iron beams there. But if I put heavy duty screws in there, that'll just add that much more strength to that. The weight of the porch will be supported on that inside floor joist, and it'll split between the screws holding it to the rim joist and the beams there. Well, there's the first floor joist put in place. So right now I've got that floor joist back 2 inches from the corner where that bends around in that bay window. Might put it back a little bit more. There'll be a trim board go on the end of that, and I don't want it sticking out past where it's going to be covered up by the roof. The roof's only going to come out to the corner of the house there, and I don't want the floor and stuff that's protected by the roof sticking out past it. And I get that one fastened down, and then I've got to figure out some way to fasten down the rest of those floor joists to these beams here. My thought is to weld some kind of angle bracket or something to the beams, but I'll also want to run a 3-4-5 triangle off of that house to keep ends of those floor joists flush here. Decided to backset that floor joist 4 inches from this corner. That way if I use a 2-inch board for a trim board on the end of this, that'll still give me 2 inches that it's recessed back underneath the roof line. And if I use a 1-inch board, then it'll be 3 inches back. Now, that's not perfect, but it's better than sticking out there underneath the edge of that roof line. What I've got is these timber lock screws. These are 8-inch ones. That should give me more than enough penetration on that. I got 2.5 inches on the floor joist, 1.5 inches on the spacer board, and then 4 inches of rim joist there to go through. So that'll give me plenty of penetration, and these are equivalent to a 3/8 inch lag bolt. So if I put 2 or 3 of these in each one of those places, like I said, there's not supporting the weight of that rim joist totally, but it will help carry some of the load of it anyway. These down here on this end to make sure that gets pulled in flush. That first joist is bolted on there. I put 2 of them in each one of those standoffs, and I staggered them so they weren't lined up on the grain line so they don't split the board. I put 3 of them on this end one here just because I could, because the other ones are closer together. Like over that center beam, I've got 2 of those standoffs, one on each side of it, so those are pretty close there. And then down there on the far end, I've also got 2 standoffs there on either side of that beam, and it's screwed down to both of those. So that should be pretty good. I brought those joists over and laid them out on the channel iron beams. And that gives them somewhat covered up. Supposed to rain in a couple days, but it's dry here right now. But the frost, they had about a 1/2 inch of frost on them that grew on them overnight. They'll probably still get frost on them, but anyway, they're there more or less out of the weather till I figure out what I'm going to do to make brackets for those. And that gives us access to the house, so my wife can go up there upstairs. She's got her sewing stuff and some painting stuff and whatnot upstairs that she uses to work on, so she can get access to that. Planks are actually tough enough to walk on. Once I get those turned over edgeways and the decking put on them, that'll be pretty nice.